Anna Marie, good morning, good morning. You're saying hi to us Safarians. I'll get Mr. Owen to say hi as well. There you go, you got his giant thumb. And yes, you're hoping for an exciting, busy drive. Me too. We had 2 leopards on the drive last night. Can you honestly believe that? I can. It's been very quiet on the leopard front. But we had Langa and Mareebs on Juma. And many of you said, yay, he's coming home. And that's right, he's coming home. I don't think he'll still be here today, but I am going to check. He was getting very close to Twin Dams and very close to Gowrie Main, where I think he was about to cross. Okay, it's about to get bumpy here. Hyena Danger just round the corner, and I'm obviously hoping for some action. These kind of mornings are actually perfect. Okay, I'm gonna slowly make my way towards the den, but for now, let's take a look at the weather.
Good morning and welcome to Eco Training Pridelands. Yes, and it is an absolutely beautiful day, and it is a little bit cloudy. The temperatures is nice and cool, but that's great for us because that means that we are going to enjoy activity of animals for slightly longer this morning. So my name is JP LaRue, and we are now behind the camera. We've got BK. And our plans for the morning is to start seeing what's going to happen from this elevated position and look out which other animal species we can hear as well as see. At the moment, we are watching a number of zebra as well as impala and wildebeest that are busy grazing on these open areas. So for those of you that might have wondered why these species often associate or make aggregations and the reason is that they share safety in numbers, and the more eyes there is, the less chance it is that you can potentially get taken by a predator. And zebras has probably got some of the keenest of the eyesight out of all these species out here. We also find that zebra has the ability to feed on much coarser grasses, and therefore they open up the grasses, but there's more soft grasses for both the wildebeest as well as the impala to enjoy. We're just going to do a short little silent segment from here and allow you to enjoy the beauty of the surrounding landscape, listen to the bird calls, as well as enjoying the sunrise. Good morning, Nanavi, and welcome to the show. Yes, it's getting that time of the year where the sun is rising slightly later, and I'm actually very happy about that because it means that there's more opportunities for us to open with sunrises. We're going to spend a little bit more time on our open plains area, and I hope that there might be some other plains game species that might join. And meanwhile, let's go and see what the rest of the team is up to.
We're just sitting, admiring the incredible morning we're having, actually. It's really, really stunning. That's the birds starting to chirp. It's everything started. Today is a new day. We're just going to sit for a moment or two and appreciate the sounds and the beauty around us. We are just admiring the view, but I think I can hear guinea fowl. Unhappy guinea fowl. They only make that sound when they've seen a predator. And believe it or not, this is exactly where we had Mr. Mareebs last night. We lost our car lost power. Wendy just we lost the leopard because the car lost power. But he went in here. We wouldn't road anyway. But this here. Let's just pop our nose in, not go too crazy deep. Could also be a hyena. I mean, the hyena den is right here, and I just checked it wasn't active. But the guinea fowl really only make that sound when they see something. It's constant. I'm just going to take my earpiece out. Again. That's a beautiful marula. Would be nice if a leopard was in it. Okay, I'm just going to sit and listen for a while. I think that something is in the area, and we're going to send you guys over to Rowan to say good morning, actually.
Is part of the show.
This morning you are with me, Rowan, of your guide, and Darby behind the camera. We have actually started by checking the northern boundary. There were 2 lions calling from somewhere this side this morning, but I think they might still be on Buffelshoek. So usually when they call, they'll choose a nice clearing to call from, and yeah, there are just no tracks of them coming this way. So we checked a little bit further down towards Gowrie Gate just to make sure nothing came in, and now we'll actually go east. But from what it sounded like, I would guess that it actually came from this side. It did sound rather far, but you never know, they might be walking. Maybe we find them on the road. That'd be very nice. Also, it seemed like the dogs went north instead of coming south this way. A big snake track. But yeah, I mean, it's a fresh new start for us today, and I'm sure we will be able to find something. Probably just end up checking cut lines quickly, and then we'll make a plan from there. I think if Lauren's checking hyena dens, maybe we do cheetah cut line and check Chitwa Dam if we can get there. But it's a beautiful day, really nice, and a misty start. We'll frame that up for you in a little bit. It's actually quite nice on days like today. Wait, Darby, let me reverse just a little bit. Because of the mist, you get that very cool outline on spiders' webs. That's awesome, hey? We haven't really seen too many of these spiders. We were discussing it last night, like where are all the golden orb-web spiders and the garden orb-web spiders. So this, still a youngster. I saw a male on it a little bit earlier. So this is the female, a lot larger than the male. The male should be creeping around almost on the outside edges. It's very quite tough to find when you're looking in the sun like that. But absolutely outstanding how they are able to weave that. I mean, sometimes these webs are so big that they'll span across an entire road. Luckily this is off to the side. I think the male might be in the right corner. Go a little bit to the right. There we go. Maybe that's him. I mean, often you also get these dewdrop spiders just hanging around on their webs, just catching little prey insects that got stuck in the web of the orb webs. But that is just super cool. Yeah, so we are in Wendy, and again we'll just have to keep the engine running. So I'm trying my best every time we stop to remember not to switch off, because of course it becomes a habit. I think let's keep going first gear and troop along. While we continue to look for some tracks anywhere. Very, very misty morning start. So I might need to rev a little bit for us to climb this hill. Part of the fun.
Morning, our station. Is an update.
Good morning. No update from the north.
Maybe Savannah or anywhere in that area.
What do you say? Copy, copy. Good luck, Mike. We had no luck on our side. It gets really thick, and to be honest, with one car, I think we need to be a little bit sensible. And we're having crazy issues with our comms this morning. Lots of beeping and additional voices, so please do bear with me. And luckily Owen's hearing them too, so it's not just in my head. Otherwise I would have thought it was. Hyena Den, I literally just looked back in case the guinea fowl were alarming at a hyena that was going to... Is that something down there? Oh no. Is it hyena? And no luck, but clearly we've just spotted a hyena. Who's it gonna be, guys? Who's it gonna be? Good morning! Ah! This is where the sleepover's at. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna go like this for you, Owen. Does this work? Ah. I wonder if we have two boys here. Let's do one by one. I think this could be Comet, but we need to get a good look at his left eye. I'm wondering if it's Comet and Cacao. It's going to be my current guess. And they're at Twin Dams, so it's a case of, well, maybe they're hanging around waiting for some activity at the den. I think this one is Cacao. But if any of you expert hyena identifiers are watching, do let us know. Hashtag WildEarth. At least we found hyena of sorts. They're probably just taking a rest, maybe waiting for any sign of the den becoming active so they can interact and socialize with the ladies. I'm absolutely baffled when we... When we went to the den, the cub popped its head out. But where's Mum? Literally, who does this cub belong to? Yeah, I think this is Cacao. You see the way they just both popped their head up at the same time? I don't know what they're looking at.
From that side? Yeah, morning.
Oh, Firefinch, the ones we follow. I think some of the names at the start were given by the WildEarth team. Oh, makes me want to stretch now. And over time, we've put it to the viewers. And now we very much choose local names that have some sort of meaning and get people to choose, or the viewers to choose. It's definitely not the same as lions and leopards, I must say. Lions and leopards are a little bit different, but when it comes to hyenas, I would say people are starting to get a lot more interested in hyenas than ever before, but not many people follow them the way we do. For example, if you visit the den on Nkoro or Elephant's Plains, it's just a den. It's just a mom and cubs. Whereas we obviously go into great depth. This is Ribbon, this is her whatever litter, this is how old they are, this is, the clan dynamics. And it's because, that's Comet. Hello, boy. You're just too handsome and clearly very sleepy. And I think that there's just not the demand there for hyenas. People don't come on safari and say, hey, I want to go and see the hyenas. Maybe now they do, but I'm talking very generally. And they're just not as extensive. Wasn't that amazing? Sorry, I had to chuckle at the end there. Comment, just let that last note sort of go on and on and on. Boys, that was incredible. I did get a question there. Sorry, AFC, we were really focusing on the incredible audio there. Yeah, this is definitely Comet and Kaikau, two boys. Last time I saw it, Comet was very dominant to Kaikau, and you can see Kaikau's a really small male. He's very small. I mean, males are smaller than females, yes, but he's a really, really small male. He's not got much on him. That was incredible. And someone did ask about rank there. Sorry, I was obviously letting you listen. And males are ranked in a way, but they sort of rank themselves, if you like. So males, just like Ngwazi is a perfect example. I don't know about Ngwazi now, but when he was originally born, he was high ranked because his mother was a matriarch, so he was high ranked. Now, as long as males stay in their natal clan, they'll stick with that rank. So they'll still be high ranked. They will never be as anywhere near the females, but they'll still be high ranked. I mean, if you're the matriarch's son and you stay in your natal clan, you're going to get respected. You're still going to have a fair bit of power to say. But immigrant males, once you leave the clan and you disperse, which is the normal sort of way to go, is to disperse, get a new gene pool, maximize your reproductive success. If you disperse, and then you're an immigrant, you go to a clan, and it's a new clan. You have got no status there anymore. Literally, it doesn't matter where you came from. You're in a new clan. You come at the bottom of the pile, literally. And the payoff for leaving your natal group, where you were respected, you had a high rank, is basically mating opportunities. Eventually, they're going to mate with you. New gene pool. And how it works is normally female. I will answer that question in just a moment or two. We're just sitting watching some sleepy hyenas by the Dane. Not the Dane, sorry, the dam. The dam. Twin dams. They have fallen asleep, but it's nice and peaceful. You can hear the birds chirping away. So we're just going to sit and listen to the bird calls. It's very nice and peaceful watching these guys sleep as the sun is coming up.
Welcome back to Eco Training Tridents. We're still up on Impala Plains. Unfortunately, our impalas and zebras have just left the plains area and moved into thicker vegetation where we can no longer swim. So one of the things that I would like to share with you is one of the guiding techniques which we use, and that's knowing when to use silent moments. Quite often, guides will drive around yapping either about themselves or random facts that actually has irrelevant to that situation and that moment. So find yourself a suitable spot, a beautiful landscape, or when you do hear a number of different animals as well as birds calling, and then use those moments to stop and encourage your guests to actually listen. But before we're going to allow you the opportunity to sit and listen and look at the surrounding landscape, I would also like to share a few of the birds that are calling with you at the moment. One of the calls that we hear at the moment is a call that's pretty much zit, zit. Belongs to fantail cesticula, which is one of the little brown jobs that we have around here. So the other one that we do find here is another cesticula species, which is known as desert cesticula, which is actually for me important to actually know your bird calls, and that's how you can often locate a tricky as well as hard to identify species. But in the meanwhile, we're going to let you enjoy the different sounds in the background. going to hang around here a little bit longer and see if there's anything else that pops in. But let's go and see what Rowan do.
Okay, so we've had no trucks crossing in, but on the radio they're talking about the lions that were vocal this morning, but it seems like they are just off in that clearing that we were talking about on Buffelshoek side. So we are slowly but surely making our way towards Chitwa, and the reason why we're driving this route is we don't actually want to cross through the Mawati and run the risk of getting stuck. So we're taking a pretty much flatter route. I mean, there are some dips on this road that we had to go through, but Wendy seems to be doing alright today. Flatter route. I mean, there are some dips on this road that we had to go through, but Wendy seems to be doing alright today. We're going to first and second gear. She just want to go check Chitwa Dam, see if Lunga popped out anywhere there. I wonder if she is going to be shyer during the mornings, because in the afternoon she seems fairly relaxed. Again, just elephant tracks and hyena tracks. Some hippo, but nothing that we were hoping for. No lions and no wild dogs. Deb, I think you asked why was that not a full circle spider web. So I think it's mostly to do with where or how, which trees or which branches they attach it to. I mean, what I can remember, I'm not trying to think of the web, but so they usually have a leading line from one tree or a branch to another branch, and then one going down, so almost like that, and then down, and the circles in the middle. And I actually do remember there being a circle around her. Sorry Dave, if I find another one I'll frame it up and just make sure. Saying we're not really seeing too many of those yet, but you know, it might still be a bit of time, about a month or so, and then the golden orb spiders and the garden orb spiders will be absolutely everywhere. Hoping that whatever we find would be walking on the road. You can see just elephant tracks everywhere in front of us. On the left hand side track, he was walking on the road, sadly the opposite direction. But I mean, for anything now, hyena, leopard, lion, I can't imagine why they would want to walk in the grass, because the grass is still fairly wet, dewy. Gina, the elephant tracks rather fresh. I don't see any bird tracks on them. Let me actually just stop and have a quick look now that they've moved over to my side. Yeah, so there are no bird tracks crossing over them. There are no hyena tracks crossing over them yet. They're on top of my vehicle tracks. Actually no, sorry, here's our hyena track on top of the elephant track. It's maybe early-ish evening yesterday. You really need to assess these tracks. Go one by one by one by one. Go see if there are any. Okay, now we've got Jennet tracks on top of the elephant track as well. And Jennets are purely nocturnal. So early last night, I would say. Oh, I nearly switched off to listen. It's been a disaster. Just avoid this little mounds of elephant dung. So this is the same elephant that the tracks we are seeing, and again it's already been worked through by the dung beetles. So it's another sign to tell us, okay, this happened early last night rather than now. This is quite a nice road because it's really just flat, so we don't have to rev the engine or anything. We can actually just stroll along in second gear. This Ellie really did travel far. If you look at his tracks, it's just all the way along the road. And it doesn't really even look like he stopped to feed or anything. He was just going in one certain direction, which for us is now north. Another reason why we had to check the boundaries is to see if we can find anything of Tlalamba or the youngsters coming in or out, because at this stage we just have no idea where she is. Nice as the mist has lifted, but I must be honest, it's actually lovely to start a game drive in the mist. It gives you kind of this eerie sort of feel. I really quite enjoyed that.
We came along Gowrie Main just to get an update from the east, just to get on that channel. It works analog, it's not digital, our Eastern channel, so we kind of have to be close to other Eastern channel vehicles and then we pick up what they're saying. But there seems to be no update, so I just, again, my usual plan, scratch around the east. One of these days we're going to get Miss Tlalamba and then just keep popping in back at the den. See what we can find along the way. Otherwise, we're never going to find out who this new mom is. Yeah, the Juma clan love to keep me on my toes, that's for sure. It's a favorite thing to do. But that audio, that ambient sound from those hyenas calling, I missed that. And did you notice, especially Kaika, Comet was lying down, so he was being a bit lazy, but he was putting his head down, he was vocalizing into the ground, ooh, into the ground. He wasn't sort of doing this. You see when a lion roars, they sort of roar into the air because sound travels naturally. And lions and leopards have got that specialized voice box that's sort of equipped to project sound. It's non-ossified. Therefore, it's not bone. Because if you think of bone, bone is hard. So if you're sort of trying to bounce sound off it, it's hard. Whereas cartilage is soft and it's very, very flexible. It's a really wonderful material, cartilage, and it vibrates. So with a lion and leopard's voice box, when they're pushing out sound to vocalize, it vibrates, which actually projects the sound further. Whereas hyenas, if you notice there, they project sound into the ground. And it's interesting, they seem to understand on some level that you don't need to project into the air. Actually, if you project down into the ground, it travels through vibrations across the land. I'm convinced. I had this discussion the other day with someone, and I really can't remember who it was, about hyenas having this understanding and intelligence of the sort of Sorry, my director is just giving me an update on what I was saying, and I find it. Did you get that name, Owen? Texas something. You're saying you love how Kakai rolls his R's. I know, they've got that in their vocalization, but yes, they're projecting the sound into the ground because it travels through vibrations, and it's almost like they're in tune to the understanding the frequency of the earth, just like elephants. I feel the earth does have a frequency. It's spinning after all. But hyenas always do that. And I remember my time up in the Masai Mara with the North Clan. I used to sit there for hours. And naturally, the North Clan, that is a big clan. Sometimes you'd be surrounded by 30, 40 hyenas. Half of them are under your car eating it, the cubs. And the other half are just running around, interacting, socializing, vocalizing. And sometimes you could just sit there, sort of paralyzed by the noise. You can't move because you're just surrounded by the most incredible audio. And that reminded me of that. I haven't had a sighting like that in a while. That was really wonderful. Yes, he does roll these R's, doesn't he? We have a hyena that we call the ambulance hyena. Because of the way it vocalizes, it sounds like an ambulance. We can hear it come by camp. Okay, this is very overgrown here, but I naturally am just trying to pick up on signs of Kalamba. She's moving now with the Bambinos, so at some point we are going to either find her or signs of her. Be the tracks. Firefinch, you're asking who's my favorite leopard. It's a really difficult question. My favorite male, dominant male, was without a doubt Tingana. God, I love Tingana. I've had some incredible sightings with Tingana. I spent a lot of time with him when he was around a lot more before he sort of became nomadic. Obviously, I love Hosanna, but I don't really know Hosanna as a dominant territorial male. I just knew him as a young male like Marives. Naturally, I've fallen in love with Marives, spent a lot of time with him. Who's your favorite male, Owen?
Oh,
Tavangumi now. Oh, it was Hukamuri, wasn't it? Yeah, we had this discussion. I also loved Hukamuri. He was such a great leopard. Tingana on foot, never. It's never going to happen. The minute you're on foot, Tingana is off. He's really not a relaxed leopard on foot. He was with vehicles eventually. I mean, his name means shy. When he was first spotted here, he was really not a relaxed leopard like Mulwati, but he got there. And he became so relaxed, but not on foot. Whereas Hukamuri, you could walk on foot. Very relaxed. You could walk on foot, you could drive. Hukamuri was great. In terms of the females, Tlalamba, without a doubt. Without a doubt. When I first met her, she was also just a cub herself, approaching sub-adult. And I always said, I don't want to fall into her paws. No. Everybody loves Tlalamba. She's not going to be my favorite leopard. And look what happened. But I've got a real soft spot for Kuchava. I have a real soft spot for her. And the most beautiful leopardess that I think I've ever seen was Sazeka, who's now very much established herself up in the Manguleti, sort of Buffelshoek, and she's got a cub now. But I love them all. I really don't not like any leopard. I get frustrated at Mulwati because although he's doing an incredible job at being a leopard, he's also a little bit frustrating for us. But it doesn't mean I don't like him. He's fantastic at just being a leopard. But I've had some really, really wonderful leopard sightings. But I think the royal lineage, Tandi, Tingana, Hosanna, Tlalamba, Maribs, that's my top choices because it's the ones I've spent the most time with. I've changed my mind. I'm going to go along Central. I mean, when I first joined, they dominated the land. My goodness. It was all about that royal lineage. But as time goes on, the older animals do die. Dispersal males come in, dispersal males leave, things shift. Tandy was the dominant leopardess when I first joined. My goodness, you could see her everywhere on Juma. But sadly now she just shifted east. But luckily we still have Chitwa, or I don't know if we really see much of Tandy, to be honest. But luckily we do still have Chitwa, and she uses Chitwa. So that was a very long-winded answer to your question, but it's impossible to just pick out one leopard, especially since I've been here a few years now, because you spend time with new leopards and you have memories of old leopards. I didn't get to meet Karula, I'm afraid. But obviously I've heard a lot about her. I would have really loved to meet Queen Karula. I just arrived just a tiny little bit too late. Okay, I'm gonna scratch Central. I might check Purple Eyes Den today since I'm in the good car, but while I debate that, I'm gonna send you guys over to Rowan.
I'm still slowly bumbling towards Chitwa Dam. Yeah, there's tracks of a female leopard on this cut line that head in the opposite direction. It actually looks like she turned into Torchwood. Not to worry. Luckily we are on the right side of the Mawati now, so we don't have to stress about that dip. Let's just take the main road straight in. Yeah, let's just go straight to the dam. Also driving quite slow here just to see if there are any tracks of Maribs coming back this way. No, we can undo that. Linda, so we're in a summer rainfall area, so of course when it rains tracks are washed away, which will make tracking in summer different to tracking in winter when it does not rain. So seasons do in fact affect tracking. Weather affects tracking. So in summertime you often get like a dewy layer even on the sand. So then what happens is if an animal walks early morning or nowish, it will crack that dewy layer, so you know exactly how fresh it is. But yeah, without a doubt, seasons do affect the trucking. I just want to get my binoculars quick. It's just some impala on the dam wall, which doesn't bode well for our small section of Chitwa that we want to check. So now what we'll do is, because we left on that side, we want to almost check every single game path that's coming through. So while we do that, we're going to send you back across to Lauren.
Look at this. I think we have here a 2-pip policeman. I've seen the striped policeman, but the 2-pip policeman I'm not entirely sure is on my list. And it's actually on a dung pile. Now this dung pile has already been sort of sifted through by the dung beetles. It was a big dung ball, but once the dung beetles get to work on it, naturally it looks like this. It looks like carpet. They sift through every last part of it. And that's the importance of dung beetles out here. But then you get this butterfly, and it's clearly looking for something. Now don't imagine it's moisture, because water is everywhere right now. Look, his proboscis is out, you see? So you see the 2 antennae at the front of the head. You see in the middle is his proboscis, his straw. It's drinking up something. I think it's trying to get extra nutrients. And look at all the other insects buzzing around. This is very cool. Butterflies are known to land on carcasses for nutrients, to drink the blood. They can't eat their drinkers, really. All they can do is pull up liquid from the proboscis, be it nectar, blood, water, and they're known to mud puddle. And it's called puddling. And they're just trying to get extra nutrients up, because the sugars in nectar is not enough to sustain the animal. They do need to supplement, just like sometimes humans need to supplement, or you get osteophagia, geophagia. Butterflies also need to supplement to sustain them through the summer. Wow, this is so cool. But I can't imagine there would be much moisture there. The dung does look still wet though. that was possibly trying to pull up any sort of additional minerals that it needs. This is very cool, and it's a beautiful butterfly. It looks very similar to the striped policeman, but it's got those 3 sort of dots, if you like, on that on that white band. The striped policeman doesn't have that. I don't know why you call a butterfly a policeman. Please don't ask me that question, because I don't know. How cool. I have a comment from James. I'm just going to clarify. Is that James Richard, I see? Okay, yes, James Richard. We know you. Can't start changing your name now. Yes, it is a 2-pip policeman. Okay, thank you for clarifying. And you're saying beautiful, isn't it just? I think I actually have got a 2-pip on my list, but still, it's not one that I see often, or we're able to get on camera often. It is. It's using his proboscis to find something. And it can't pull up, like I said, it's not got the mouth parts to chew in the adult phase. It's not a chewer. So it's not looking for dry food here. It's looking for something of a liquid medium. And it has to be some moisture that's on the dung here that's given it additional minerals. No organism really can survive on sugars alone. This is incredibly cool. Actually, there's a lovely quote. You know, I love reading quotes. And it's about insects and the caterpillar, and it's by Joe Reed. And it says, "You're ugly and hated by all. They squash you or spray you for sure. But if they only realize you're merely a butterfly in disguise." Isn't that lovely? It's quite applicable to humans too. And lots of predators will eat butterflies. The birds or larger insects or small mammals, they will feast on butterflies. It's quite a substantial body there with lots of sort of juicy bits for the predators. And that's why, to avoid predation, butterflies have evolved to sort of feed on toxic plants or mimic unpalatable species or associate with other insects like ants for protection, or have really, really cryptic coloration. That's why butterflies have evolved that way, to at least have some mechanism of defense, whether it is just cryptic coloration or whether it is feeding on toxic plants. There has to be something that helps you defend yourself against the predators, because all predators want you. It's maybe replenishing its salts, actually. Maybe just looking for some bit of salt. It's now going for the moisture on the vegetation. Snake owl? I have no idea. Juma's very small, remember. I don't think there is exactly a study on the species of butterflies just in Juma. Remember, we're part of the Sabi Sands, which is part of the Greater Kruger, and I do use the identification booklet, the checklist of the common butterflies of the Central Lowveld. So that's a much broader area And I don't actually know how many butterflies it gives in this book. I could try and count them. But just in Juma, I'm not sure I could possibly answer that question. You normally talk about species in a little bit of a broader area than that, but there's a lot of pages here. Oh, wait. Okay, according to this ID checklist, you can spot 853 in the central Lowveld. Or at least this is a checklist. Maybe this is just a checklist. But essentially, I don't know. I don't know how many you see in Juma. You see a lot. Okay, we are going to bumble on now. See what else we can find. We are going to just continue checking this road. Let me just check. The first hour I don't think is up yet. I have this, it is, this sort of thing about just moving in that first hour in the morning before it really does become too hot and things go flat. And that's normally our best chance at catching mobile predators, which we're going to have to rely on a little bit more now that it's summer. It's so thick. If you don't spot the tracks, it's going to be very difficult to find a predator in the thicket, and therefore I want to catch them moving. Or you've got to at least try. I have two ideas of areas Kalamba might be moving, but what I do want to show you is this is Simulwati. It's a drainage line, and just at the bottom of this drainage line is the Inyala Dane that Tandi used and Kalamba used, and I just want to show you the ground now. And this is why I really don't believe Kalamba is going to use the sort of Gori Pan dens anymore since the heavy rains. If Owen can just show you, it's waterlogged, and that's substantial. A tiny little cub. They are tiny. Although they're mobile, if they have an accident, they could easily drown in this. It's really not the terrain anymore to keep cubs, which is why I think she's going to change the den or change the sleeping site to somewhere that's a little bit drier, a little bit higher. So I do have two potential ideas that are just a little bit further west from where we are now. So I'm going to scratch around and see if we can see any tracks, because if they are using a den site, then there will be lots of tracks. So as I bumble on, I'm going to send you guys over to Pridelands.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We decided to go into one of the dams to see what's happening over there. And at the moment, we've got a number of incredibly playful, and we managed to find our hippo. I was on leave, and BK was over here. He told me that the hippo has actually returned in the last 3 days. I'm always happy to see this hippo, and I sometimes wonder how far he walks and where he actually goes when he disappears, sometimes for up to a few months. We do know that they can move up to some 30 kilometers per night, and that they sometimes will move big distances of up to 1,800 kilometers. But generally, bulls tend to have territories which they occupy. And it's very likely that this male has either been pushed out from another territory and is always less dominant than the current territorial male that is occupying another pool. It's also very possible that he's just looking for a new territory where he can potentially locate females and where he can set up his new home. We tend to find that when it does come to hippopotamus, that it's only the males that are territorial, and that the territories only exist along either a riverbank or a dam which they will occupy. signify that they move away from the water's edge. It's no longer a territorial area. However, we do find that they demarcate by means of feces of grass that they will scatter and spray with their little fat stubby tails. And the function of that away from water is actually for navigational purposes. We do often find it water as well, where it's actually a territorial marking, and sometimes we even see them actually defecating on other hippos. And in that case, it is a dominance behavior that they will execute. A few things that I do find interesting is when it does come to males, they can put up some serious fights, and I've actually seen them tearing apart one another. And if you do look at those very long teeth, those can often reach lengths of up to 70 centimeters above the gum line. And most of those blows, which and bites, will be directed to the head as well as the neck area. We therefore find that the skin around the neck is sometimes up to as thick as 6 centimeters. Let's watch our hippo and our impalas and just listen a little bit to the different sounds in the background. We're going to hang around our dam a little bit longer and hope that there's some more animals coming in for a drink. But let's go and see what the rest of it too.
We're just bumbling, scratching, looking, smelling. Oh, one of my favorite tree species. The balanites. It's so beautiful. Look at that fluty trunk. It's not as large as some of them get. We do get much bigger balanites. Oh, and hello, look at you at the bottom. I didn't see you. The grass is so long. Look at you. But we are just going to sit here and just enjoy listening for a moment. You never know what you might hear.
Mike, standing by. Mike, just confirm I will still out of the sighting. I'm out here.
Isn't it just beautiful? One of my favorite types of trees.
Just stand back a little.
We're still on our bumbo. I think I've given it enough time to just check back in it today. I know some of you will think I'm crazy. But it's literally a timing thing. I remember one day I checked and then I think someone came behind me and checked. I can't remember, the other presenter also went and checked and they got lucky. It's literally just a timing thing, being there at the right time. So we may as well check. But because I'm driving the same roads every single day, some people would maybe think that's not productive. But in a sense it is, because you're staring at the tracks, and since the ground's got a little bit drier, we haven't had much rain in a day or two, which is a good thing in terms of tracking. You are seeing that there are no tracks, let's just say for a leopard female, we're looking for Tlalamba, and then you're driving over them. You're literally creating a blank canvas every single day, which is a good thing, because when you do wake up one day and you come out and you see leopard tracks, you know, aha, I drove this road at whatever time yesterday, these tracks are fresh. You literally know, and you have a better chance of sort of analysing what's going on the ground. But it also means you get a bit stuck in a loop. Daniel, I would imagine you go to tracking school. I'm not a tracker. So I don't entirely know about the process of becoming a tracker, but you would go to a specific school for tracking. And I think we have one outside of Hoedspruit, and you would really learn from people who have grown up here and know the bush so intimately, and you would just spend years and years and years tracking the animals, learning how to identify the tracks, learning how to identify the behavior that the tracks are showing, which direction they're moving in, looking at the wind, the weather, the land around you. And you would spend years becoming qualified in that special, really highly specialized subject of tracking. Now we can track, but I mean, to be a tracker, to be the man that sits on the front of the vehicle, that's a whole different ballgame. These people like Rexon, Herbie, Finotti, William, all the amazing trackers that we've got, Morris, these guys understand the land like no other. It's incredible. I learned from the best. I like to think I'm really lucky, and I think WildEarth was really lucky to have them for the time that they did as well. It's very, very specialized. If you think of our anti-poaching team, we do bump into them from time to time. They spend days and nights out here. They sleep out in the bush. They understand the bush better than anyone. But yes, I would imagine you would go to a really, really specialized school, the school for just tracking, to become a tracker. So we're kind of back at square one where we were earlier, but it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. I think I might try and get to purple I-10. I'm just a little bit worried with our vehicle situation, getting in a hairy situation. But I think I want to try. I know that area quite intimately. It's the one that James and Darby actually found purple I-10 on foot. That's how much bushwalk we used to do. And in Purple I spent time there. All the Nkuhumas during that period denned on Juma. It was incredible. Now we never see them, and that's the shift that I'm talking about. It's just constant. Everything is in a constant state of flux. Everything. And nothing in nature is static. You've got to remember that. So things will shift, whether it's to do with environmental conditions, whether it's to do with food or competition. It's still in a state of flux. And the Nkuhumas were here almost every day when I first arrived, and they all denned on Juma during that period, 2019, and it was just so wonderful. Every single den, I can remember them all. And then of course Purple I stopped using that because they changed dens, they switched dens, and then they keep moving a year later. Miss Tandy uses it with Maribs. It's a wonderful little spot. I'm not in the right area right now, but I am going to possibly head that way and just see what's going on. I just hope it's accessible. The minute that we see it's not accessible, we will leave. A little bit. Rusty can fly, let me tell you. That's why the boys like it. My goodness, she can fly. Daniel, normally it's a year for the predators. So Maribs is not a cub, he's a sub-adult now. And Ngwazi, not really a cub. I mean, for hyenas, I guess you could probably push it to 18 months, but it's normally about the year mark. Depends on if they're still suckling and their size and the sort of how they're moving, but on average, after about a year, you would start to call them a sub-adult. They're no longer completely dependent on mom, but they are still young. Okay, do we have any activity? I think I might cry, everyone. Oh, we have activity. Wait, Owen, don't show just yet. It's not ribbon. Finally. Would you look at that? It's not Corky. Is that you in Teams? Oh, it was so worth coming back here. There's a nick missing out of the top left here. You're going to have to help me out here, everyone. But it's not ribbon. Can you see the cubs from this angle? Is it just one? No, there are two. Or maybe that's ribbons. Now we have all three cubs. Now you guys know how it feels when your mama's not here. Is it hard? Come on, look at me, girl. I need to see your ears on your face. Many of you thought hard. Many of you actually messaged me to say that you feel that it's hard. That's some new mother. That would make sense. I saw Intima the other day. No suckle marks. Or it really didn't look like it anyway. Is that you, Harticus? That little one will be so happy every time we come. It's the one that's not getting fed. When I first met her left ear was perfect and she had a nick in the top of her right ear. But slowly through time, naturally, hyenas get a bit haggard. She had a bit of a nick in both ears. I just want to get a better view before I can conclusively say. Benny, you're saying what a wholesome sighting. And no, finally. And that's what I was saying. You just got to keep coming back. It's not that I'm trying to be boring. It's that if you really do want answers to solve a puzzle out here, be it with the leopards or the lions or the hyenas, you've got to keep coming back. You've got to keep following up on your story, or you will never get there. Apparently Wendy's stuck, I'm not quite sure what has happened now. She was struggling yesterday. Rowan and I just tried to make a plan. We both really didn't want to be on dam cam, so we thought, how can we get out there and be out there? Rowan's only got a handful of days left and he wants to be out, not in an FC. So we tried to make a plan, but I guess it was a bit of a push. But I hope they're okay. If they need help, Wendy can go. Oh, and I feel I could reverse for you a little bit. Are you quite happy?
Yeah, otherwise that stupid stick gets...
Oh, and I'm going to tell the viewers that you just called that stick stupid. It's hard. It is you. I'm pretty sure it is. It's hard. I know that, Nick. When she looks at you, once I see the face, I need to see the face of a hyena before I identify it. Oh, well done, everyone that guessed heart. Davi thought Intima. I thought possibly Corky. I was wrong. Hard to guess. Well done, my girl. Don't get all shy on me now. And well done with everyone guessed heart. It is heart. Now, Hart was the one that was quite heavily involved with Corky when I was there before I left and the boys sort of took over. Hart was with Corky, and Hart's always been quite high ranked. Hey, I'm proud of you. Oh, she's gorgeous. Finally, guys, we got the answer. Hart is the mother of this random, mysterious cub that all of a sudden appeared at the den. Well done, everyone. I'm convinced that Corky may have too as well. I'm wondering if we're in for a bit of an influx. And I mean, Gingirika's still alive. Pumela sadly didn't make it, but Gingirika was born around mid-June 2020. So that would make it 18 months. So this is telling you that Hart's quite high ranked. Well done, everyone that guessed Hart. Well done. I'm over the moon. So Hart, high ranked. Ribbon, we're guessing low ranked. Sharon a Den. Camino space. Ribbon just might not hang around when Hart is here. Hart was born in 2015. Early 2015, so that's making her coming up for 7. Just a little bit younger than Ribs. Okay, we're going to sit here and enjoy every moment with our new Mama Hart. We're just sitting here enjoying every moment at the hyena den. The sounds are wonderful. We're right next to a drainage line. We've got a new mama who's suckling. We're just going to sit here and enjoy it. Isn't this just so precious?
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We are out on zebra plains at the moment, and we are looking at a number of zebra as well as impalas. And they're busy happily grazing on. And if we do start looking at the different social structures over here of impalas at this time over here, we'll notice that we're having all male groups that are forming. If you're not sure how to separate males from females, it's actually very easy. As with most woodland antelope species, the males all have horns and females don't, because horns actually get in the way when you're in thick vegetated areas. Unlike species such as wildebeest, which is an open plains game species, we'll notice that both male and female has horns. In that case, the females actually need their horns to protect themselves against potential predators, as well as to protect their young. And over here, we simply see with females and impalas, they actually will just simply use techniques such as freezing and then decide if they should flee, and therefore don't have the need of using horns to protect themselves. But coming back to the social structure of the males, as we noticed that they're starting to form all male groups, and the reason for this is the shortening of day length, and these animals start picking up on this and then start forming different social structures. And in the next week or so, we'll most likely start seeing some of the males already setting up territories which they will start defending. However, the maratting season will only really start around by March and beginning of April. Directly behind the impala, closest one to us, if we look into the tree line, there's also a number of vervet monkeys that are sitting up there in the shade and busy looking at what is going on. Quite often we do find that these vervet monkeys will feed in association with a number of other antelope species, and they use one another for lookouts. We also see that many of the antelope species will also feed in association with vervet monkeys, baboons as well, as if they both are messy feeders and quite often drop a lot of the food down to the ground, and then these antelopes will then simply pick it up. I've noticed that behavior quite a few times with impala. However, I've more often seen it with bushbuck as well as other species such as duiker. Good morning, Chia, and welcome to the show. So what we normally find is that after a year of age, a male can actually reproduce. However, they'll generally be large enough only to start competing with other rams at approximately 3 to 4 years of age. Well, let's watch what our zebras as well as our impalas are getting up to. And if there's any more viewers that has any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. We always love questions, and we always will try and answer them to the very best of our possible knowledge. So both of myself as well as have been bothered by a number of different flies this morning that's trying to bite us, and we can see precisely the same. These zebras out here, in their case, they're successfully using their tail to actually keep flies away from one another. And very often you'll actually notice how they will to tail and making sure that they can keep flies away from one another's faces too. It's absolutely a pleasure, Lola, and we're glad that we can show them to you. And we're glad that they're actually so relaxed. Often one with zebras, they don't relax easily with vehicles, and then especially one of them will start running, and the rest of them will start running very soon. We're going to start moving on and go and see what else we can go and find, but let's see what Lauren is up to.
Well, I haven't moved anywhere. This is just far too wonderful. And I haven't spent a lot of time with Heart recently. Heart's one of the adult females that I've probably spent the least time with. I have had incredible sightings with Heart, but she is in fact Gwen's daughter. So when we talk about Gwen's den, we're talking about Heart's mum's den. That's on the Cheetah Line Firebreak Junction. And her brother is Soul, who's a boy who dispersed into the Elephant Plains clan. So we don't really see Soul anymore. We can identify him, but Soul dispersed. But that's Heart's brother, and that's who Heart is. I know many of you know this, but just for those that don't. So this is another Gwen grandbaby, yay! And Michael, you actually messaged me. This is interesting. So my sighting that I had on November the 6th of Hart, Corky and Gingerika within Tima, Corky was really going for Tima, and Tima was squealing. That was quite a sighting on Gowrie Main, and that's when I first realised something's wrong. I think I left about 2 or 3 days after that. I wasn't able to follow the story. But Michael, you're saying Hart's mammary glands were extremely full and swollen, and by that point Gingerika was 17 months old. So for them to be that... Oh, the others are coming to investigate. Where's my mummy? I knew it wasn't Ribbon. I knew it wasn't June. Now, John-T, I believe, I did think that John-T told everyone June was pregnant. But she maybe looked that way, but it just didn't fit. It didn't work. When you know June, you know the age of Novella. It was literally just a food belly. No Ribbon, no June. Saw on Tima the other day. So really, Corky and Hart were the only two. Many of you said Hart, and you were right. So Hart's obviously been at a natal den, which is why we've not seen her, and she's obviously now dropped the cub off at a communal den. So even though she definitely is higher ranked than Ribbon now, which shows you Ribbon has fallen. How do I know that? Well, I know that from this cub allo-suckling from Ribbon. Ribbon is allowing that because she's no longer at the top. That proves, now although we know that is a proof right there. The proof is in the pudding. So we now have established that Corky and Hart are higher than Ribbon. So I'm wondering about the age groups. The age, Michael, you've mentioned that it's possible the cub may be slightly older than Ribbon's too. That's going to be a tricky one too. It's also possible. We just found Ribbon first. We found Ribbon's den, and all of a sudden this has just become the communal den. This is where everyone's hanging out. I'm so glad we solved that mystery, everyone. I was going crazy. Now, if Hart leaves, obviously we leave, but she's not quite left just yet, so we're just going to sit here and see how this plays out.
Okay, so we are slowly cruising back in an easterly, or actually no, sorry, northerly direction. Yeah, quite a fun morning already. Not too much around Chitwa Dam, actually only the hippos that were there, but did not even see a track of a female leopard, so no idea where Lanka would have ventured off to. Saying that though, maybe she just went into the bushes there to get rid of us, just disappear, and then once we left, completely changed her direction and carried on down the cut line. But I asked for an update earlier, and yeah, it's just quite... No one said a single thing. Actually, my exact words were, "Any updates for the morning?" And the guy just said, "Nothing." So then, you know, everyone's having a bit of a frustrating drive. Just slow down a little bit over these bumps so we don't throw Darby off. Like it's going to be quite a nice and cool day. Don't think any rain in the update we got was 3% precipitation. So that's promising. But yeah, I saw tomorrow was supposed to be raining. But then that's always the thing. If you check the weather apps 3 days in advance, it's always a bit dodgy. You'd almost wait till the day before or even the morning. That will tell you exactly what's going to happen. Usually a bit off with the amount of rain coming down, but temperature's quite good.
I'm gonna cheers to hearts with my coffee. Cheers, heart! You can see how happy I am. I've been frustrated. I get very frustrated. I just couldn't understand. I mean, I can understand. I just didn't know who the mum was. We were always going to get there, but that's heart disappeared now. So she's gone. So in that space that Owen and I have been bumbling, Heart arrived and she's now gone, and you know we don't stay there without an adult. So I think Corky's going to be next, and I knew June was not pregnant, and I think that Comet's trying to make June feel a little bit saucy. But Novella's still young. I guess it's just going to depend on a few more interactions to see. But we saw Comet following June the other day, and that's twice I've seen them together. And Intima, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen to Intima. She did lose in Tambu, so it would make sense that she would come back into Istris, but naturally her world has gone into turmoil because she's no longer high ranked. Or we believe that she's no longer high ranked. Oh no, don't fly away. Crikey. Guys, did you really need to do that to me? That's a yes. Okay. Copy. South Africa's least favorite bird. I don't believe I need to explain why. But actually, they're pretty cool. When you look at their coloration. Okay. Ha-dee-da. Look at their beak, and the way that they forage is actually very cool. Very specialized. They're just not popular. Are you guys? You get them all in the cities over South Africa as well, and they wake people up. Suzanne, my goodness, I think I would rather put vinegar in my eye than have that as my alarm call, but you are welcome to. They are unbelievable, these birds. So loud, as you just heard, and very consistent with their calling, but they are beautiful. No, I'm being nice now. You can see they've got a real iridescent sheen on their wing. Can you see that? But Suzanne, please, you are welcome to have that as your alarm call. I want the hyenas. I actually recorded the hyenas earlier. I'm going to try and see. But I keep my phone on silent mostly. But for alarms, I wouldn't mind being woken up by a hyena. But they are actually really beautiful, these birds. They are. But, yeah, she is. Okay, I need to make a new plan. Found out who the mother is, scratched around a little bit for Tlalan, but didn't get lucky. I didn't catch that comment, I'm afraid. Anyway, we are going to keep bumbling. Very dramatic. Weaver, you're saying something, but they keep your garden free. Snail free. Ah, so you're happy. You like the Hadidas. They keep your garden free of snails. Well, jolly good. No, I do like them, I really do. It's just when you're trying to get that sleep after working a long stint, you're lying in Joburg trying to get that lovely, delicious long sleep, and the Hadidas will just not let you. I don't actually know where to go right now. I'm going to have to think out loud. Nothing on the east. We did scratch around the west. There's no point in going back there right now. We may as well go this way. See what we can come up with.
Yeah, Mr. You are now together. 3 of them, yeah.
Okay, we're going to decide, make a plan, decide where to go, and we're going to send you guys over to JP.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We decided to go and give the hyena den a visit. We're very fortunate to actually see one of the 3 cubs being active in front of the den at the moment. A few moments ago, it was disturbed by a dove that flew up, and it got a big fright, and then almost scuttled inside, and then came out of the den itself and came to lie up in the sun. If I'm a hyena cub, I would probably also want to spend as little as possible time inside that den. And the reason, it's overrun by lice and fleas, and eventually at some point have become so overbearing for them that they will relocate to a new den site and then return in the hope that those fleas and lice might have actually become less in numbers inside the den after not being there for a few days. When it does come to hyenas, we do find that they operate into fairly large clans in the case of spotted hyena. And in some areas, those clans can actually exceed 70 individuals in size. However, with this specific clan, there are roughly some 23 individuals. And within a clan, we find that the females will dominate the males. And as you probably heard quite a few times, that the females are much larger than that the males are. And one of the reasons why they reckon that females are larger than males is to prevent them from actually feeding on their young. We also find that males that are resident within a group can very quickly lose their rank when newcomer males come into that clan, and automatically those males will then assume a higher position than the resident male. We also find when it does come to dominance that the males actually have access to far less food compared to a dominant female, which can potentially eat up as much as 9 kilograms at a single feed, while the males in that group will only have access to approximately some 2 kilograms of food if it is a large kill. So quite often there is a misconception that hyenas are scavengers. They're actually very successful hunters. And in some areas, they are the ones that do most of the killing, while the lions are the ones that are stealing most of the food. Good morning, Chris, 12 years old, and welcome to the show. And that's a very good question. And they do look like dogs. However, they are actually more closely related to cats. So when we do look at the taxonomy of how animals and groupings to which they belong, we find that the carnivore groups of predators are divided into 2 groups, cat-like carnivores and dog-like carnivores. So therefore, lions are more closely related to a hyena than that a wild dog, for example, would be. But when we do look at the closest relatives to a hyena, it's actually genus and species like civets and mongoose, which is their closest relatives. For those viewers who are interested, they actually believe that they evolved a scavenging lifestyle from scavenging from larger extinct species such as the saber-tooth cat species, which became extinct some, if I remember, 12 million years ago, roughly. We also find with the evolution of hyenas that they all stem off from a single ancestor, and we all find that they branched off at a specific period of time from one another. What they also have found is that there's specific fleas or lice, I'm not sure which one it is, that also branched off from the ancestral form of lice, which was also found in the ancestral form of hyena. And that correlates precisely to the same times as that these animals started evolving into separate species. For those of you that are curious about how to separate males from females, we generally find that females are much larger. And quite often what we'll also find is that the stomach forms pretty much a straight line. And one of the things that we do also can notice is when it's females that are lactating is the teats, which obviously will not be present in males. With the males, there's a more pronounced angle between the chest and the groin area. Some of the other things that we will also notice is that the females have a false penis, which is in most cases larger than that of the male, but it tends to be less deeply lobed and more often covered by hair compared to that of the male's penis. One of the things that we also do find with a female's false penis is that it's actually a erectile clitoris. And what I do find particularly interesting is that it also acts as a canal, and that the young has to go through there. And with a lot of females, which gives birth for the first time, that actually ruptures and tears, and a lot of females actually don't make it through their first birth. A few things that we have mentioned in the past are some interesting things about the cubs. And what we do find is that when a female gives birth to cubs of the same sex, that one of the stronger individuals will actually kill off the weaker individual. But when it's opposite sex cubs, then both will survive.
Guys, so we are back on Buffalo Cutland, and we're actually slowly starting to make our way back towards camp. Should be another 15-20 minutes or so. Don't want to abuse Wendy too much. First gear uphill. God, we got a bit nervous. I also got a bit nervous there. But we are good. Wind is so good. And around Cheetah Cutline there's also a female leopard that was walking around there. She crossed over into Torchwood, but maybe, it seems like, I mean, my Marips was walking around at 12 o'clock yesterday afternoon, so you just never know. Maybe she'll walk around as well. So it'd be nice to know where exactly he ended up, because no one from Cheetah had any updates for us. Sounds like Buffalo Circus quite busy. They're doing quite well. But Juma, a little bit quiet this morning. But anything can change in weather like this. It's not too hot at all. It's actually kind of just beautiful.
Not Rowan, Owen, sorry. Just reminded me of one of my most shocking sightings, really. The most shocking sightings, really, with Owen himself. And we were actually on Gowrie Main, and believe it or not, we stopped for a butterfly. And the butterfly that we stopped for was a striped policeman. Now earlier we saw the two-pip policeman. It was just up here, I'm going to show you. And I spotted the butterfly, so I stopped because I was determined to just keep doing butterflies. And I realized that this was a new one, and it was in fact, I think, this first striped policeman for me. And as I stopped, I could hear something, but when I've got my earpiece in, I struggle to sometimes focus, and I just thought it was, sorry, Shongololo, breaking branches. But as I jumped off the vehicle to look at the butterfly, Owen said, sounds like crunching. I think hyenas are nearby and they're crunching on something. We're just letting the Shongololo across the road. And then I jumped back in the vehicle, and then I heard it, and I thought, that is crunching, and it's actually a lot closer than what I thought. We need to take a bit of a closer look. So jumped back on the vehicle, and this was at the point in time it was James Hendry and I, and the Nkuhumas had not been seen in a while. They'd sort of really started to shift down south at this point to the Londolozi, Malamala side. And then James was deciding I'm going to look for the Nkuhumas. I want to find them. They've moved back north. No one knows where they are. Let's find them. And decided to jump back in the car because it really didn't sound like elephants anymore. It really sounded like crunching. So jumped back in the car, and we just maneuvered the car a little bit to look. Now it was summer, and it was so thick, and I saw the entire Nkuhuma bride with dark mane and blondie on a wildebeest skill. About 2 meters from where we were standing. No, maybe 5 meters from where we were. But let me tell you, these engines are noisy, and sometimes when the director's talking, it's a lot for your brain to process. If I hadn't stopped for that policeman, I don't think we would have never found them. We would have never found, and we found them for the entire area, but they were on the Little Gowrie side, so of course Little Gowrie always let us go, and they're very supportive of us and very amazing. So we got to go and view the sighting, but moral of the story, if I did not stop for that striped policeman, we would never have found them. I'm sure someone would have found them, but at that moment in time. And you can imagine how that went down with James Hendry. Very well. And it was just a stroke of luck. Tracking is a skill idea, but you also need a lot of different elements to be on your side. Being in the right place at the right time really, really helps with the bush. And Rexon and Herbie always taught me, try to quite literally listen to your gut. I know that's a motto for life, but try and really feel, if something is telling you to check that area, check it. If something is telling you to go back to the hyena den, go back. And I try to operate on that. We obviously don't get it right, and we obviously drive ourselves crazy with frustrations out here. But trust, if something is sort of saying, I just want to check that area today, then check it. You do sort of start to vibe with the beat of the bush after a while. But since I've sort of come and gone since we all went freelance, I have to say you do lose that a little bit. But when you stay here for prolonged periods of time, you start to feel the beat of the drum. But anyway, Owen just reminded me of that sighting, and I thought I would share it with you all because that was really something. Here's me out of the vehicle looking at a butterfly. It was just here, right opposite Shibamu, right here. It was good times. So I stopped for the butterfly right here where my finger is. Just having a little look. It was floating around here, and then across the road, literally just here, where Owen's going to show you now, where the inkahumas. But it was so thick. I mean, look, you can't see anything. Literally, you cannot see anything. And it is little Gowrie, so we don't traverse that side. But lo and behold, we could hear. And we just couldn't work out what we were hearing, but they were crunching away on the wildebeest. Okay, let's keep bumbling. I didn't catch that name. Todd? You're asking about my most favorite, most memorable lion sighting. Ooh. Oh my goodness, I have had so many. When I first arrived here, my sightings were always in Kahumas. The Talamatis were just this pride that you heard about from Buffelshoek that you never got to see because we didn't traverse Buffelshoek then. You can probably hear my brain. Oh, you know, it's almost impossible to just pick out one. Were you not here that Christmas, Owen, that we searched all day for them, Steve and I, and then we realised the road had been dragged, and then we went on our Christmas bumble? Were you here then? Christmas Day? I think it was BK. It was BK. Steve and I, it was Christmas Day, we had our Santa hats on, and we knew the lions were here. We decided to work it together, and we really wanted to see the lions for Christmas. We drove round and round and round, and we could not figure out where they had gone. We were deep in drainage lines, we were up and down and round, and then just at the end of drive, someone said, "Oh, did you not know the road's being dragged?" A brown snake eagle. And that's the last thing you want to hear. You think, I didn't know this, no one told me, no one said. So basically the tracks had been wiped away. So that evening we decided to go on a Christmas bumble. Of course, just after dinner, everyone jump on the Mahindra and we just go out into the night. And within seconds, Steve shouts, "Lion!" on quarantine. Within seconds, the entire Nkahuma Pride took down an impala meters away from the car. It was incredible. The sounds, the cubs. The mothers were picking the cubs up and throwing them with their mouths, the aggression. Oh, it was really quite something. And it was just such a surprise because we'd been looking for them the entire day. Secondly, again, it was during this period, I think, Steve found Chella. And he found cubs, very, very young cubs. And he thought there were only 2. So that area was naturally zoned. But this just shows you how frequently lionesses actually move their cubs. So I was checking Jelapan, not for Jela, but I was checking Jelapan because we could hear alarm calls. Now, the Dane was way down at the Wiggs house. That's far. It's a really good stretch of road. We could hear alarm calls. We're looking for a leopard, and all of a sudden we saw a lion. And then we realised it was Jela. She was going in a completely different direction from the Dane, so we thought we can follow her. She just sat down next to a tree. So we thought, oh, okay, she's taking a rest. It's really hot. But as we looked closer, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 little cubs were there. 4! And they were tiny. They're the youngest lion cubs I've ever seen. And she'd moved the Dane. She just shifted it. That's how common it is for cats to do that. Now, it was in the same drainage system, but she just shifted them a little bit. Her original site was very, very close to the road. I think she realised this is not going to work. So she moved them, and lo and behold, we stumbled across them, and it was just so wonderful. That's another one of my favourite sightings. Let's keep bumbling on, Odie. I want to check Treehouse Dam. And then finding amber ice cubs. I think James found them, but getting to spend time with them was just incredible. There are so many. I don't even know if I could pick out a single favourite one. But we are going to take a slow bumble to Treehouse Dam and see what we can find there.
Guys, so we are back on Vuyatela access and actually very close to quarantine. Might actually just quickly loop quarantine, see if anything is about on this side, and then yeah, I go park poor Wendy, let her recover a little bit before the afternoon game drive. Like I said, it's a lovely, lovely, lovely morning to be out. Just do one loop here. Just quickly check all the trees. I say, the hyenas here love the camp. There's not a single day that goes by where you won't find a hyena track in camp. They probably just come and visit Lauren. Each one comes and says good night. But quarantine looks fairly quiet. That resident herd of impala has moved off, as far as I can see. But then it dips down a little bit, so it's quite a large clearing. I'd say lengthwise, most likely about 700-800 meters, and then widthwise 300. This is my running track every day, just around and around and around and around and around again.
Welcome back to Pridelands. We're still watching our hyena cubs and hoping that the other two is going to make an appearance. The one that's at the entrance to the burrow at the moment has taken his paw and put it directly over his eyes. It's almost like if it's an act to deliberately actually block out the sun. Maybe they don't do mornings as well. One of the things that I do find particularly interesting, if we look at the outside of the burrow system, how neat and tidy it is, it's very seldom that we actually do find that spotted hyenas will bring back bones and pieces of meat to the den site itself. However, on occasions I've actually found young hyena cubs playing with bones, as well as a number of other remains of animals outside the den. But when it does come to brown hyenas, they tend to be quite often more active in bringing large amounts of food back to the den site. And when you do look at the den entrance, you will actually notice that it's scattered with bones. We also find that they tend to more often scavenge compared to spotted hyena, which is more active hunters. When it does come to the brown hyenas, they often do make kills, and those kills are often on smaller animals, which is more sizable. One of those animals that they often go for is actually seal cubs. And that's something that I would love to still see, where brown hyenas take seals. And one of the places where you can see that is at Cape Cross in Namibia. So the best time of year to go and see that is generally in November, when the females start coming ashore to actually pup, when these hyenas then will start focusing on that shoreline. It's not the only animals that will focus on that area. They also find that jackals will be coming into that area, also going for seal pups, and also the afterbirth that's left behind by the seals. So historically, we used to find brown hyenas in the Kruger National Park too. However, they were outcompeted by the larger and stronger spotted hyenas. Good morning, Greg, and welcome to the show. Yes, they are social animals, and the reason why they are social is definitely does add to survival value. And we find that if you're a large group, you can actually take down larger prey animals. However, I've seen free hyenas very successfully taking down a large Birchall's zebra in East Africa. We also find that hyenas tend to often go for sick or injured animals, and therefore deliberately removing those animals out of the ecosystem, allowing the strongest animals to breed. Coming back to the hyenas, when it does come to size and grouping, if you are hyenas and you want to steal or scavenge from lions, you have to at least be 4 hyenas for every lioness that's present at a kill. However, if it does come to male lions, they will immediately dominate any hyena or a number of hyenas that are trying to come towards a kill. It's also one of the reasons why lionesses will tolerate male lions at kills and allow them to feed first, in the hope that they will actually fend off any unnecessary attention of hyenas that are focused on the kill that they have. Well, we're going to sit around here a little bit longer in the hope that our other 2 hyenas are going to come out, or that one of the adults might return, or that there's some interaction between them. But let's go and see what Lauren is up to in the meanwhile.
I'm still scratching around. I'm a little bit frustrated at the lack of leopard tracks. I did see Marie's tracks from last night, but we know they're from last night. A little bit frustrated at that. There just seems to be no lion activity on Djuma, which is incredible. It's really quite astounding. We go through large periods. We actually went through a period where we had both prides on the property at the one time, the Talamatis and the Nkuhumas. Both prides. Obviously at different corners. And then we had a sighting, Eric and I think it was Eric and I, where they were both prides were meeting. The sub-adults were very curious about one another. But for some reason, they will come back. It's just a natural movement of animals. What'd you see?
No buffaloes.
Yeah, no buffalo. They don't solely just hunt the buffalo, but in the sand you do tend to find them. And it was interesting when I was in Madikwe. It was an interesting experience, A, being a guest. I'm never a guest. I'm always driving you guys. B, not knowing the animals. I saw cheetahs, we saw leopard, we saw lions, but I thought, I don't know you guys. And it's strange that WildEarth puts you in this space where you do get to know the animal. And B, the lions don't hunt the buffalo at all, ever. There are buffalo, we found buffalo there, but they don't hunt them. Just hasn't they've never hunted buffalo. They come from an area where there wasn't buffalo, and it's almost like they haven't developed that through time, either the realization or the ability to take down such a big animal. They take down zebra there, and mostly wildebeest. They never ever hunt the buffalo. Isn't that incredible? Whereas here, our lions in the sands, they absolutely do. They really, really do. Whip this way. But yes, we've also got no buffalo on the property right now. It does get quiet here, but Djuma's a small property. It's not big. Sometimes there just are no sightings on Djuma. Things move. Peaks and troughs. But luckily in summer there are so many other things you can focus on. I think the golden orbs are starting to come back. I think Rowan had a nest, if I'm not wrong. And I saw a small orbie. Eden. vertical this way. Essentially, no. They are the same, but the difference really is size. If you find a very, very small track, the females, I think a lot of people don't realize, because it's difficult to see when you see a female leopard and then you see a male leopard, but the size difference between the two is incredible. Male leopards are much bigger than females, much. So the size is really dramatic. But then when you see a leopard like Marib's, who's a young male, you could mistake it, or maybe at least 6 months ago, for a female. But now at the stage he's at, his tracks are small. They're not adult male leopard size, but they're quite round. So if you just pay attention, his paws and his tracks are starting to get a bit wider, which is making the track a lot rounder. So you can still tell it's a young male if you look closely, but you can easily get confused. But essentially they're the same. They're the same sort of shape. I don't have any tracks to show you right now, and I don't have a track book with me, but essentially, yes, size is the biggest difference. And talking of leopards, this is Ingwe Alley, the alley of the supposed Ingwes. It's a really good road to check, because that's a drainage line right down there. It's very thick, and there are lots of little pans. It takes you very close to Gowrie Dam. It's a really good road to check. Even just for insect life. Aha, I spot a cuckoo. Will it stay? Will it not? Can you get it from here? Oh. It flew, everyone, it flew. Cuckoos are flighty. Ah, you got it, you got it, you got it. Yeah, I also see it. Well done, Owen. I was still looking for it. Ah, I see the Jacobin or a Levalance. It's gone. You can spot it from a distance, but you really need that fine detail. Well, for me anyway, I need to get my binos out to really be able to say which species it is. My favourite cuckoo is the Diederix to look at. Oh. Yeah, the Diederix are, whoo, and I love the red-chested cuckoo call. It's a bit dominant right now, but I still love it. Whoo, whoo, whoo. Do you see it?
I see it, no.
Oh, you don't love it? Okay, Owen's not a fan. Is it too dominant for you? Whoo, whoo, whoo. Whoo, whoo, whoo. Constant. It's a bit like the woodland kingfisher right now. Yeah, I love it. But to look at physically, the Diederix. Cuckoos come and then they just disappear, really. Migrants. See, these are the little sort of pan things I'm talking about. Natural little concave areas of land that just fill up with water. And this is the termite mound. We had Simba. 200 meters away we had Shasha. That was a great sighting when Ali was here. Ali cat. It's just a road really worth checking. It's a little bit too overcast and early for insects to be buzzing. I mean, some of them are, of course. But I'm still waiting for that boom. You know, I sat outside the kitchen last night trying to pull from my memory the insect life this time last year. And I am sure by this time last year, insects were just everywhere. We used to have to we keep the garage light on at night. It does run off solar power. It isn't environmentally unfriendly, but we used to keep it on for safety. If you ever need to get up in the middle of the night, there is always light. You shouldn't be in darkness. But it got to the point where we had to turn that light off and make another plan because it was attracting all the insects. So by the time you came to your vehicle in the morning, you really had to clean up your vehicle. I loved it because it gave me the chance to pick up antlions and everything and bring them on drive. It's just not happening. I mean, there are a few insects in the morning, but really, I don't know. It's a little bit sad. I do hope that the boom is still to come. We're still to get that wonderful insect boom. So for now, we're going to keep on bumbling. We're on one of my favorite roads in the reserve. I've been doing a lot of talking, so I think I am just going to position myself here. And Old Dog will give you some beautiful views of all the vegetation around us. It is really quite lush as we listen to the sounds of the bush. We're just admiring the views. There's some dark clouds ahead. I wonder if we're in store for some rain today. It wouldn't surprise me. Maybe we just need more rain to get that flush of insects. I mean, we've had a fair bit, but I guess it doesn't compare to the really, really heavy rains we had last year. But insects come back. Okay, let's keep bumbling a little bit for the last half hour of drive. I'd quite like to check Gallego Pan, actually. And see if anything is happening around that side. Tlalamba also loves it there. There was thoughts that that was her natal den around the Gallego area, that drainage. The impossible drainage. It's actually possible in winter, but that's a different story. TBH, you must be new to watching us. You must be, because yes, we do. We have regular baboon sightings on the show. Chakma baboons. I love a good baboon sighting. See vervet monkeys every day. Yes. That's a different story entirely, but Chakma baboons, yes, we do. They're regularly on the dam cam. A really, really large troop that tends to dominate this area, actually. Baboons are just great. Really wonderful social animals. You don't want them in camp. You really don't want baboons coming into your camp. They're dangerous. They have huge canines, can be aggressive, and can just cause a lot of destruction. I mean, you really don't want that in camp. But here, they're quite easy to chase away. Come on, Rusty. Oh, did you see it on the white berry bush? Just here at almost 3 o'clock. I was actually thinking about these guys the other day, the beetles. Wonderful aposematic colouring. Aren't they gorgeous? I'm sure they're the CBR beetles, if I'm not wrong. And that bright yellow and black is really quite striking to us. I mean, it's like the colour of a bee, but it's telling you something. I'm just going to get my insect book out. Some lovely images that I can hopefully show you. That is a warning within itself. A warning. I'm toxic. Don't eat me. Edna, you're saying so beautiful. I know. Some of the sort of colour palettes in the animal kingdom are really, really stunning. But this is a warning. Not to us. We can see that it's a warning, but it's really not aimed at us. It is a warning what aposematic coloration sort of does in the animal kingdom. It can be fake sometimes. It can be mimicry. But what it's trying to do is say, hey guys, I am toxic. Please don't eat me. I'm warning you now, if you eat me, it's at your own risk, because I am toxic. And it's not going to go down well. And that's basically what the coloration is. And it's normally a lot of blacks, a lot of yellows, oranges. A sort of really obvious contrast in colours. And that's what's telling you, I don't think I should eat this guy. I mean, you get it across the animal kingdom. Caterpillars also display aposematic coloration. Butterflies from beetles. It's not uncommon, especially underwater as well. Actually, on the coral reef, a lot of fish will display colours that say, don't eat me. Some of it's lies. They're not always telling the truth. And then you get the weevils, for example. Weevils try to sort of copy the blister beetles, because blister beetles, you don't want to mess with them, that's for sure. And the blister beetles really do produce and secrete a toxic substance. Just like the net-veined beetles, it's the same substance, cantharidin. But the weevils don't. And the weevils are little beetles that are essentially pretending, hey guys, I'm just going to pretend that I have this bad toxin in my body, but really I actually don't. And that in itself is remarkable. Deception in the animal kingdom. But these beetles are actually very large, and you really don't want one flying into your face, because it's going to hurt quite a fair bit. I'm still trying to find this page for you. My textbook is so big, I need to actually start marking out pages. And aposematic coloration it's an attempt to defend yourself. Every organism, be it a bird, a butterfly, a mammal, a reptile, you've got to have something to defend yourself, whether it is tusks, horns, coloration, whether it's bright coloration to act as a warning, or whether it is cryptic coloration to be camouflage. Maybe you secrete substances. Maybe you have really sharp teeth. Maybe you can just take to the skies and fly off. You have to have something that will allow you to survive. And of course, insects have evolved the most diverse range of these defense strategies. Some just simply hide. Some have protective morphological structures, if you like spines and scales. Sorry, FC, all I can hear is my own voice in the background there. But think of grasshoppers. Their defense mechanism is those elongated, powerful, bizarre-looking hind legs, which allow them to jump and hop great distances. That's their defense mechanism right there. Even the flower mantis that we've been talking about, that defense is to stay still. Don't attract attention to yourself. Blend in. Yes, it works for catching prey, but it also works for avoiding predators. It's communication. Communicating to the world. Not to eat you. Okay. Another little insect for the day. Well, not so little, but I do think we should start bumbling around to Galagopan now. And see what else we can pick up around that side. Oh my goodness, great news. Pridelands are back in the game. So for now, over to them.
Welcome back on Eco Training Pridelands. We've just been laughing at this giraffe that got startled by an elephant that chased it. And we didn't see the elephant in the bush right over there. But we were watching this giraffe, although incredibly well camouflaged anytime, but we did start noticing it as when it actually turned direction and the sunlight actually directly fell on it. Let's see what he's going to get up to. He's most likely have come in for a quick drink, and I assume the elephant has done precisely the same as well, as it's now heating up and you would like to try and keep as hydrated as possible. Especially with elephants, they do need a lot of water, and on average they will drink twice if they can in a day, and as far as I know they can consume some 120 liters of water in a day. It's also quite interesting, depending on the size of an elephant, they will be able to actually slurp up some 7 to 12 liters of water into their trunk and then jet that into their mouth. Coming back to the giraffe, much more elegant in its approach towards water compared to elephants that quite often rush down to water. They have to make sure that there's no threats, because they're incredibly vulnerable when they go down in that arched position where their legs is almost splitting at a 45-degree angle. And you have to make sure that there's nothing and nobody around that is trying to catch you. You'll normally see them, but they come up. Now I'll start looking around again once I have a sip of water, and then they will make sure that there's nothing that's approached in that time before they have the next sip of water. So between BK and myself, we were just discussing earlier on what is the most iconic of all African animals. And for many safari goers, it's the Big Five, and then the Big Seven, which also includes the traditional Big Five, which is leopard, lion, elephant, buffalo, and rhino. And then so when it comes to the Big Seven, it includes African wild dog as well as cheetah. But for me, the most iconic of all African animals are definitely giraffe as well as zebras. If you think of it, you do find all three of those large cats in Asia, and historically throughout the Middle East and into Europe, that they also used to occur. When it does come to elephants, Asia also has got its own elephant species, Asiatic elephant or Indian elephant as it's known, which is smaller than the savanna elephant and has got much more triangular shaped ears, which resembles the Asian subcontinent or Indian subcontinent compared to the ears of the African elephant, which pretty much looks like the African continent. When it does come to buffalo, they've got their own buffalo as well, known as Asiatic or water buffalo, compared to where we have more aggressive African buffalo. And in Africa, you have to be more aggressive. There's more things out here that wants to try and eat you. Well, coming back to the giraffe, it's just now moved off slightly towards our right and is now finished drinking and seems as if it's actually starting to focus on feeding again. So the closest relative to a giraffe, if you are wondering what it might be, it's actually an animal that we find in West Africa, which is a forest species, which is known as a okapi, and almost looks like a cross between a zebra and a giraffe. It seems that our giraffe has decided to go back for some more water. Let's see what he gets up to. Just love the way that they drink, and especially if you can catch him drinking in the first hour or last hour of sunlight. It's actually amazing to watch that golden light on them as the head comes off and they throw back that little droplets of water. That's one of the things that I always used to try and catch on camera when I still used to be focused on photography. Here we go. There's also a number of different oxpeckers on our giraffe, and if you do notice on the left-hand side of the animal, there's some red-billed oxpeckers. However, occasionally we also find yellow-billed oxpeckers that will come and settle on them to feed on the ticks. It's often interesting to watch them as when they decide to go to the loo and they lift their tail to defecate. We often will see those oxpeckers rushing underneath the tail, as there's quite a large amount of ticks that actually go and hide underneath the area below the tail. You often also go and see them going into the ears. And it's not only ticks that they take out there, but they also will go for earwax.
Okay, so Darby and I made our way safely back to camp, and I am now on dam cam. As you can see, still a rather grey day out there. Shit looks a lot darker on the camera than it really does outside. Doesn't seem like too much is coming down to drink just yet, which kind of makes sense, you know, the weather, cool temperatures. You can see the Egyptian goose still around. Of course, they never really go too far from the dam itself, from the watering hole. And then yes, we got a hippo to look at. Zoom up a little bit. It really just feels like I'm spying on him. He has no idea we're watching him. Hasn't been too active. He's been like this for a good 10-15 minutes, just relaxing. It's not impossible on a day like today with the weather that they actually end up feeding quite later into the day. Of course, the hippo's biggest issue is that they get sunburned. Their skin dries out very, very quickly. So yeah, he wants to spend his time in the water when it does get hot. On a day like today with the cloud cover and the mist we had earlier, might actually just find them out feeding, but not this one. He's decided, let me go to Juma Dam and just relax here for the day. Ooh. See if he pops up in exactly the same spot. There we go. Hasn't moved too far. And back up. Just waiting for the hippo to pop back up. She might zoom out a little bit in case he did move. I can't see bubbles going in a different direction, so it should still be in the same spot. He just again wants to show how long he can hold his breath for. But you can see actually the movement in the middle of the camera, him coming up and down. It really does feel like spying. No idea that we are watching him. Cute little pink color behind the ears. Not too sure where he came from. I didn't really drive that section of the reserve today, so the southern and more eastern side. But he wasn't here the last time. I was on dam cam duties. Otherwise, yeah, rather quiet around the watering hole. On Juma Dam. Jada, male hippos are mostly territorial because they want what's for mating purposes. And of course, having a lot of other males in the area makes the competition larger. So he holds his territory and tries to mate with as many females as he possibly can. So that's why hippos are territorial. And they're territorial over the watering hole rather than the area. So when they're out and about feeding and male hippos come across each other, it shouldn't really be an enormous issue. So it's quite tough for any young male animal out here because they often have to just leave what they know, you know, what they've grown used to for the last 2-3 years, and pretty much just fend for themselves. Same thing with lions, leopards, hippos, elephants. Really a tough life out here in the bush for them. I think I mentioned this the other day, but they will spend the entire day in water because their skin is pretty much 7 times more sensitive than any other animal. You can imagine him in sun, getting sunburned, really not good. Even though they do secrete that hippo cream, that reddish kind of color, that helps them against the sun, but if that dries up and it starts cracking, the skin's going to crack. He disappears again, out of sight. Quickly use this opportunity to scan the clearings. Also just slowly checking all the dead trees. Because today is not very hot and there's no sunlight, you often find predatory birds just perching on top of dead trees. This looked like a lilac-breasted roller just landed here. No, sorry, a woodlands kingfisher. Elena, who's 8 years old, wants to know how long a hippo can survive out of water during drought. So Elena, that's quite a tough question. I don't really know how many days, but I can't imagine too long because of the sun, because of the cracking in the skin. So probably be about 10 to 15 days. Again, yeah, they are very, very, very water dependent. But I mean, like any grazer, they would need to drink as well. So, oh, yeah, very tough. But I would say maximum 15 days. Shame, and that's what happened during the 2016-2017 drought. Is majority of your large herbivores were just struggling so much. Buffalo, hippo. I mean, at a stage we had wild dogs hunting buffalo because they were so weak, they just couldn't fight back. Still in exactly the same spot. Well, it's a quiet day around Juma. Very quiet around Juma Dam. Even the Egyptian goose has flown off.
I'm sorry, bro, but from.
Completely. I'm just gonna focus on the dam like that. Maybe, let's see, I'll keep quiet and quickly check how many birds you can identify by call.
We've made it to quarantine. Sadly, Gallagher Pan didn't bring much. I think it's going back to its old way of being. Got a little bit active for a while, but then, it's gone quiet again. So we stopped on quarantine to look at the impala. It's always worth doing, sometimes we realize that we check quarantine first thing in the morning, and then we go away, we go to Chitwa, we go to Buvusuk Dam, we move, and then we come back to quarantine and see fresh leopard tracks. Or someone will call in a leopard or dogs or something on quarantine. It's always worth checking. I don't quite know what's happened to Wendy this morning, but Rowan's time here has been tricky because of the cars. So we'll make a plan. We will make a plan to get out and have a good drive on some level. I don't know what that plan is, but we'll figure it out. Ouchie, this looks rather painful. The impalas are remarkably tolerant for sometimes what the oxpeckers do. But it has been a wonderful drive from not the impalas, the hyenas vocalizing like that right next to the car, finding out that Heart, in fact, is the mother of that mysterious little cub, slowly starting to put the pieces of the clan dynamics together again. I'm pretty sure it's Corky, Heart, June, then Ribbon, but not confirmed, and I really don't know where Intima sits yet. You would think that Intima would sit under Ribbon, however, Intima's always been a bit of a strange one. She always appeared slightly higher ranked than her mother, which is interesting. It's really good to start to piece together the clan. I'm loving spending more time with them. We will get updates on the lions for you. It's very quiet. There's not many people driving. There's absolutely no one else driving Juma, and I think there's 2 vehicles driving Buvusuk. It's just quiet right now. But I'll do my best to get the updates as always, and hopefully one of these days Kalamba is magically going to pop back into our lives. Where are you all running to? Even if I have to sit on quarantine again this afternoon, that's exactly what I'll do. We'll find another patch of shade and try and do some more insects. Because believe it or not, by the time autumn rolls around and winter hits, the insects go, and it gets remarkably quiet here. And I mean quiet by noise. Silence can be deafening. But Rusty has done a very good job, and many of you are saying you thoroughly enjoyed the drive. I'm glad to hear it. We really need to get Wendy back up and running, but we need Opa, and Opa's not here. But thank you guys, actually, for always being there, for being nice and kind and supportive and enjoying the bumble with us, going through all the highs and all the lows. It was so lovely to see Heart. Some of you had guessed Heart, well done. And just to be part of that moment together, it was really quite special. And I think this is going to be the start of a baby boom. And it's time of change. Ribbon's no longer the matriarch. So it's a boom under a new matriarch, which is going to be, well, an old matriarch, shall we say. Times are changing, times are interesting, but thank you guys for jumping on board. We couldn't do it without you. And we hope to be out this afternoon, so please do join us then. Till then, have a great day.